So, here's some bullshit. Young mother is barred from her local pub for wearing a t-shirt saying woman, human, female, after a complaint that it discriminated against transgender people. Now off the bat, I'm gonna say how, like, well, what's wrong with what is wrong with you? Apart from the fact it's just a really cringy t-shirt. I mean, that's as offensive as it gets with me. But it's like, okay, and obviously there's a very isolated incident, and it's overblown. It's in the Daily Mail, and blah blah blah. This isn't a reflection of everything that's going on. Although it is in Macclesfield, which does surprise me. This is the sort of thing you should hear about. Well, some of it is in Macclesfield. No offense, Macclesfield, but yeah, it seemed like the most progressive woke community. Just from presumptions. But like, woman does make human and female. So transgender person said it discriminated against transgender. So this is where it gets choppy and confusing. This is where it starts to hurt my brain. So by saying that a woman is a human female, so what, a woman is also a human male? Is a woman too? But if you are a male that identifies as a female, therefore isn't the case that you are just female? Isn't that what everyone is trying to push? Like, I don't. How can we live in an age this confusing? Really? Well, this is just silly. How can we survive? You know? How can we go on like this? We can't. How can you walk around and this be your way of thinking? Go, it's this, but it's not this, and it's this. It's like, yeah, how do you open doors? You just headbutt it. Huh? Can you slice cheese? Is that complicated for you? I mean, can you do anything? Like, is there anything you can do that isn't fucking totally confusing? Anyway, let's break it down. Rebecca Wershbale, that's a surname. It is a surname. Was barred from Five Clouds Tap and Bottle in Macclesfield. She wore a t-shirt with the definition of a woman, which was not inclusive. So the definition of a woman that wasn't inclusive of people that aren't women but are women. Mrs. Worshipable is a supporter of feminist group Fair Play for Women, which opposed a government's consultation to reform the Gender Recognition Act. Yeah, I understand. I've seen some of this stuff go around. People saying that there's a whole wing of feminists, who, you know, organic women, you know, born women are women, who think that, you know, other groups are muscling in on women's rights. This goes back to the same opposition that they had against homosexuals, which I talked about before. You know, having equal rights is the same as like civil rights. So they have the same rights as a protected group. You know, civil rights movement was for obviously the black community, who had been overly oppressed up until that moment. And then in the 90s, you know, LGBT, probably just called LG back then, I expect. It just keeps getting longer and longer, doesn't it? But like, there was opposition for them getting similar rights as people, you know. See, it melts my brain just trying to explain it. I was like, oh. Anyway, so obviously there's a group of feminists that think it's kind of a, I guess you say, I'd explain it as a piss take, that people who just transition to women get the same rights or the same. See, none of it makes sense. It's all bullshit. It's like everyone should have the same fucking rights, isn't it? Why can't we just go? Everyone has human rights. Why is everyone gunning for special privilege? God, when I make my face like that, I look like a fucking Russian assassin. Look at that. I look like fucking Ming the Merciless when I do that. Jesus, is that what I look like when I do that? That's mad. God, I don't. Oh, I'm shaving this. The only reason I haven't shaved this is because of this. Sorry, it's reversed. Look at this. If I shave, I don't know what's going to happen with this. I don't know what's going to happen. You know? It's going to be tough. Anyway. I'll compose myself. Like, protected classes. I just don't agree with the whole thing. Protected class. Like, it's just, oh, we're a protected class. You know, it's like everyone's everybody. That's a throwaway statement, but it's fuck it. This is a throwaway fucking culture. It's like, well, why do you have to have more protection than someone else? Everyone should be protected. You know, the only people who should have more protection than anybody is kids and the elderly. Why? Because they're proper vulnerable people. Old people can't do as much. Young people can't do as much. It's like, well, that bracket seems to get bigger and bigger. But you know, kids, old people. Well, then we just leave it at that. They're the vulnerable people. How are the disabled? They're like the truly disabled. You know, they're vulnerable too. Like, come on. If you identify as a fucking space unicorn, you're not vulnerable. You're just a bit silly, really, aren't you? That's all it is, isn't it? Anyway, you might have thought it was the most innocuous item someone could wear, a simple black t-shirt bearing the dictionary definition of woman as human female. Well, dictionaries are problematic, I suppose. You've got to love it. It's in the Daily Mail, ain't you? But a young mother has been barred from a local pub after a complaint that the words discriminated against transgender people. Rebecca Worshable said she was stunned when a barwoman at the pub informed her she was banned because of the definition. I mean, I'd be stunned myself. Yes. What was Mika Johnson left? Okay. No, pop-up video, go away. Yes. Miss Worshipable said she told me that the t-shirt I was wearing was upsetting people because it was transphobic and not inclusive, so I was barred. What do you mean not inclusive? Well, you're not inclusive. Like, what? There's the inclusive. Inclusive of what? What are we inclusive of? What are you being included in exactly? Like, you know? What she meant was that I was somehow offending men who say they are women because my t-shirt did not include them in the definition of a woman. Yeah, but a man, this is what, see again, I'm going to go over it again, but like, look, it surely isn't a man, right, a man identifying as a woman. So I'm offending men who say they are women. So a man identifying as a woman is a woman because you identify as a woman. You say you're a woman, so therefore you are a woman. So how can that t-shirt be offensive if you say you're a woman? So you're just that's an insecurity. You're recognizing the fact that maybe, oh, I'm not a woman, I'm a man in a dress or something. I don't know, what is this? What is this? Ms. Worshipable is a supporter of feminist group Fair Play for Women, which opposed the government consultation to reform the Gender Recognition Act. The proposed legal change will allow people to self-identify as the gender they believe they are without any medical diagnosis. You see, that's... we're totally agreed. That's bonkers. No medical diagnosis. It's like what I was saying about people who say they're activists. Oh, today I'm an activist. Like, come on, man. You can't just go around saying you're something when you're not, without any proper proof. There's a reason why it's a crime to impersonate a police officer. Because anyone could just go, hello, I'm a police officer. Are you? Do you have any training? No, I just decided I'm a police officer today. Like, come on, like, really? Really? You're just going to wake up and you're going to say, I am this, and therefore you are? Well then, fucking hell, we can, like, you know what I mean? This is bonkers. That's children's shit. Do you know what I mean? You can't have a government go, why would they even debate such a thing? That's mental. Like, yeah, well, people should just be whatever they are. But then again, would it matter? Would it matter if there was no... It wouldn't matter if there was no sort of protection of different groups of people. If everyone was just the same, treated the same, then it wouldn't matter, maybe. I don't know, you know? If we all just said we all have the same amount of rights, we all have the same problems. It wouldn't matter what you say you are when you wake up in the morning. But it matters when there's incentive. And that might be a problem. There's too much incentive. Feminists and transgender campaigners have been locked in an increasingly heated battle with leading feminists, fearing the change will harm the safety and privacy of women. See, that's where it matters. Miss Worshipable, a mother of one, had gone last Sunday with her girlfriend to play board games at the pub, where she has been a regular for 3 years. So with her girlfriend, so is she gay? See, she's gay, but she's not. You know, she's in a vulnerable class of people, but not vulnerable enough apparently. That's right. In the competition of who is the most oppressed, she is not top. Oh dear. That's a problem for you. But the 34-year-old was surprised to be approached by a member of staff with a complaint. Nothing out of the ordinary had happened that evening, except when she spoke to another drink at the pub, a gay man called Mika Johnson. Right, so this is a gay man called Mika Johnson. Okay, I sat down next to him and asked him how he was. He said, I don't want to talk to you, to be honest. Please leave me alone. So I said, okay, and left it. Do you think that conversation went down like that? I'm doubtful. 30 minutes later, a member of bar staff named Heather came to Ms. Worshipable's table to tell her she was no longer welcome at the pub. Heather said I'd been upsetting people and Mika was crying, Ms. Worshipable said. She told me that the way I talk about radical feminism was a problem and said, the t-shirt you're wearing is upsetting and not inclusive. I replied that it simply said the dictionary definition of being a woman. Yeah, she's got a point. She mumbled a bit about it being transphobic and that I had been transphobic previously. She then said I was barred. So maybe she had, like, it's probably not just down to the t-shirt, is it? Like, this woman is part of this group. She has a stance on this thing they're trying to put forward. You know, they know that. I expect they know that. You know, if it is her local, they know. She'll be in there like getting drunk as fuck, mouthing off, and yeah, I'm a real woman. Yeah. You know, like, come on. There's a bigger picture here. I'm just saying. There's a bigger picture here. I don't think this is all over a t-shirt. There's been worse incidences of t-shirts in the past. There was in the 90s. This is another great example of our wonderful police force. There used to be this band called Cradle of Filth. I don't know if they're still around or not. But they had some quite provocative t-shirts. Not a fan of that kind of thing, but anyway. One t-shirt had a nun doing herself with a crucifix. Yeah, pretty classy stuff. But a kid actually got arrested for wearing it. Got charged with obscenities, and that was in London. And then they arrested him and they made him take the t-shirt off, and he had to wander into the cold British night with his top off. I mean, that's alright for a big hard northerner, but for a skinny death metal fan in the south, that's a problem. You know, I mean, that t-shirt, you say, that is designed to be offensive, like, but you know, you can't go arresting people for wearing a fucking offensive t-shirt. You can't go barring people for having a t-shirt. But you can bar people for, you know, winding people up. landlord's discretion, you know. A feminist t-shirt that had upset a gay man. She repeated I wasn't being inclusive. The same day Mr. Johnson, the pub goers Miss Wedgwood had offended, took to Twitter to talk about the distress. He wrote, when you're trying to relax in your fave pub and there is a TERF, I've heard this expression, trans-exclusionary radical feminist, wearing an anti-trans t-shirt, it's disgusting and I'm so upset by it. So is that an anti-trans shirt? So there's this war going on between all these people. It's like, who's the most oppressed? I don't know. You know. The manager of Five Clouds, Tom Lewis, said, Miss Worshipable is not permanently barred, but she must have a discussion with staff so she understands the situation. Well, there's the pussiest pub. Oh my god. Just thinking about all the things I've done in locals, and all the things I know people have done in locals, like attacking staff, fires, smashing stuff up, beating people with pool cues, like pulling weapons, snorting coke off the bar. But no, wear a t-shirt that someone doesn't like in this pub, you get barred. Man, there's a very, very, very chill pub. Well, no non-chill pub. What am I talking about? It doesn't sound like much trouble goes on in there. Five Clouds. However, she insisted she was not transphobic and was only against the reform of the law because she believes it could put women's safety at risk by allowing men who say they are female access to women-only spaces. Now, this is where we get deep. This lady has a point. This is something I noticed a while ago. There's a few stories running around. This is like early last year. And I found one of them here that isn't on the Daily Mail, so we can say goodbye to the Mail Online and its wonder and its splendour. Have a look at here. Something just as great. The Telegraph. I ain't got much opinion on the Telegraph as a newspaper. I don't think they're as bad as the Times when it comes to being called out. But this shit is interesting because, yes, if you have a reform in government where you can just say you are something and then have access to women-only spaces, it creates a world of opportunity. And like I said, there's incentive. If there's an incentive to become a female, and when it's really easy to become a female, you know, you don't have to. And I've talked about my views on transgenders and when I was talking about wannabes, you know, when you get people who are just wannabes, you know, because the whole process of transitioning from man to woman or woman to man, I'd say especially from man to woman, because you're getting your dick cut off. That's facts. You're getting your balls and your dick cut off and turn into a vagina. It's a big commitment, and psychologically, it's big. And I can understand why, you know, and I've said this before, why some transsexuals who go the whole hog and have to go through rigorous processes and psychological evaluation, and, you know, constant meetings with doctors and through extensive surgery and home, you know, it's like, wow, that's a big deal. And then you get some numbnuts coming along going, I'm a woman today. Like, it's kind of like flipping off to people who really are committed to the cause, because there's no going back from that. Like, maybe 50 years down the line they can just have a lab where they're just growing dicks and they can sew one back on. But right now, there is no lab of dick. Once it's off, it's off. Okay? You're committed to the cause. That's admirable. And I think, you know, but there's definitely a group of people that would not commit that hard to the cause. So look at this. Record number of transgender prisoners transition from men to women, not the other way around. The number of transgender prisoners transitioning from men to women is at record levels, raising new questions over how jails cope with the surge. More than 100 male inmates in jails in England and Wales now identify as female, double the figures from 2 years ago, according to the Ministry of Justice figures. Of these, more than 20 are held in women's jails, with the remainder in men's prisons. The disclosure follows controversy this summer, where it emerged a transgender inmate had sexually assaulted 2 fellow prisoners after transferring to a women's prison. You don't say. Karen White, or shall I say, the stunner, who was born Stephen Wood and was transitioning, was described by the judge as a predator who used her transgender persona to put herself in contact with vulnerable women. White, who had previously raped 2 women, was jailed for life. Oh, isn't that nice? The ministry said safety was an absolute priority, and a male inmate declared as female could be retained in a men's jail if the risks they present cannot be managed within the women's prison estate. Right. Its figures showed there were 139 transgender prisoners in 44 jails, a third of the total. Of the 42 in women's jails, 22 were men who identified as female, while in male prisons, 92 of the 97 were men identifying as women. Officials attributed the rise to an increasing awareness of transgender issues and growing confidence among inmates that it could be properly and sensitively managed by prison staff, including separate cells and showering and the provision of appropriate clothes. So yeah, you get treated a little bit extra. Numbers have increased from 70 since 2016. Now look, yes, the increase would be of the awareness of transgender issues. The awareness. But whose awareness is it? Is it the people diagnosing them as transgender? Is it the prison staff? Or is it the awareness of prisoners, realizing that there might be a new super cool way to do time? There are now 15 jails with 1 transgender prisoner, 18 with between 2 and 4, and 11 holding at least 5. Prisoners who already transitioned and have full gender recognition certificate are understood to have been excluded from the statistics. Right. So it's understood that people who have an actual gender recognition certificate have been excluded from the statistics. So these are dudes saying they're women. End of. Okay? There's dudes saying they're women. Karen White was put into a chair. She was placed in a women's prison before she completed gender realignment. So she wasn't. So he was still he for sexual offence. Basically, get put in women's jail and go on a pussy grabbing expedition. Look, there's this there's a video of Young Thug from a few years ago when he's saying, this is very poignant. Young Thug says, you know, fuck it, if I'm gonna get sent to prison, I'm gonna get myself some titties done, and I'm going to jail with the hoes. As in, I'm going to girl jail. Because think about it, you're going to jail. Jail sucks, right? Why does jail suck? Apart from, you know, the limited freedoms and the food's crap, and you know you're in jail, obviously. But there's no chicks in jail. You might get the odd screw or two, you know, the odd female screw that you can fantasize over. You must have, but you know, there's a reason why a lot of people bum in jail, isn't there? You know, bit of bumming, sucking winkies, and they're not gay though. And it's not even a gay thing. It's like, yeah, just gotta get some action. But think, oh, how can I go to super chill jail where there's loads of girls who are also sex starved? I'll become a woman. You see? Now, how many women do you think would transition to men? Or go from women's jail to man jail? You know? There's an incentive. There's an incentive here. There's an incentive to become a woman. And I think this is what these people are talking about, saying, you know, women's only spaces. I mean, you've got toilets and changing rooms, you know, but jail, you're locked in. I've scratched a bite and it's bleeding all down my leg. Cool. Anyway, there's an incentive. So, the rising figures are the figures that more transgenders are committing crimes? No. Is the rising figures that more people have been recognised as transgender who weren't before? Well, yeah. If you change the definitions, then yes, you will get more. It's like when I looked at the statistics a few streams ago about rise in anti-Semitism. But actually they changed the terms of anti-Semitism. So there are more things included in what is considered to be anti-Semitic. And lo and behold, there's been a rise in anti-Semitism just because more things are covered. And newspapers have reported this as, there's a rise in anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is going through the roof. You think that everyone's being Jew haters. But the fact is that they've changed the definitions. They've added more stuff to it. They've created more crimes. This is what happens. And then there's a rise. And then it all gets hyperbolic. There's a rise in anti-Semitism. There's a rise in... There's not. It's just you've changed it. You've moved the goalposts. And there's more of it now. You've changed the rules. You change the rules here. What's going to happen? You're going to get this thing running around gripsing up women. Like... So this is why you can't pass a law just saying I am what I am. The ones that, if you are going to put, and it's still I'm iffy on people with transition because you've still got physicalities. There's nothing that you can get around the physicalities of the difference between men and women. The people that ignore it are insane. So even if you have got a gender recognition certificate, even them a little bit iffy. I think they should have their own wing, or they should have their own bit of jail. And like paedophiles get their own wing of jail, why can't transgenders get their own wing? Where they're protected. Do you know what I mean? Is that too much to ask? Huh? Well, wouldn't that be? Everyone would be cool with that, wouldn't they? Would anyone have a problem with that? Someone have a problem with it, but you shouldn't have a problem with it. But you can't have, and you can't just go, I am this and therefore I am. Why? Well, I just woke up and decided that I was. Because, man, you're going to get people taking the piss. They just want to go to super cool jail where it's full of hoes. Imagine that. Imagine, this is like a pervert's fucking best dream. You're in jail, you've been in jail a while, and you're like, God, this sucks. I really need some pussy. Well, I'm not going to be out in years. Every day I'm in the shower looking at this dude's dick and that guy's hairy ass. I'm like, God. And I'm thinking about sucking Big Leroy's dick later. Fucking Dangly Dave's going to finger my bum hole. It's the best option I've got. But then you go, Now I can't turn gay because I'm just not gay. But I could turn into a woman. You say you're a woman, and then because the law states that you can say what you are, and therefore you are, and off you go to super cool jail, and you're in the shower with hundreds of women all soaked up, naked, every day. You don't even get that. You don't get that outside of jail. It makes going to jail like going to like the set of a It's like going to a pornographic fucking holiday camp that lasts for years. You just perpetual. I mean, Jesus Christ, you're just in Perth City. You're just, how many men wouldn't turn that down? How many men would, what I'm saying? I'd do it. Jesus Christ, guaranteed. I call myself Loretta, or I'd be straight in there. I'm being serious.